Heavy sleepers of Reddit, what are some surrounding events happenings you unknowingly dozed off to and only found out about the next day? When I was pregnant with my third baby, I woke up at midnight to the popping sound of my water breaking. I got up and went to the bathroom and confirmed that my water had in fact broken. Got a towel and went back to bed. Woke up at 5:30 in the morning with some big contractions and figured I'd better get to the hospital. Went to the hospital, dilated to 9, and baby was born 20 minutes later. So labor. I slept through my labor and transition. Highly recommended. Thought the story was going to end with, and when I woke up there was a baby in the bed. I have slept through our fire alarm numerous times and a tree falling into our house. I'd love to wake up to an instant tree house. Visiting an aunt when I was younger. I was taking a quick nap on her couch. While I was asleep, a power line went down across her front yard. Literally 30 foot outside the window I was sleeping next to. Multiple fire trucks. Firemen coming through the house to make sure everything was okay inside. Sirens, alarms, fire hoses, the works. I woke up after everything was over. Confused why the carpet was dirty and the yard burned up. They didn't wake you up. They were very considerate. Growing up, we had an indoor cat. Occasionally we would let him out in the summer, but usually not for too long. One day we forgot him outside. Around 2 a.m. he was crying at the door to be let in. My brother and parents heard it but were mostly still asleep. Soon another cat showed up and the two started fighting on our doorstep. If you were not aware, cats get very loud when they fight. My brother, who was in high school at the time, jumped out of bed shouting, "It's Kitty!" Our cat's name was Kitty. My brother ran out to help Kitty, followed by my parents. When my brother opened the door, Kitty jumped inside, but my brother did not notice. The other cat started to run away. The other cat looked very similar to Kitty. So at 2 a.m. my brother was running down the street in his boxes chasing the neighbor's cat while yelling, "Kitty, come back!" My parents were chasing my brother while yelling, "That's not Kitty!" I slept through the whole thing. A 6.8 mag earthquake while I was living near the Bay Area where it hit. Everyone else woke up because of the heavy rumbling, but I staying asleep. Meanwhile, I would wake up to someone walking in the hallway in the morning with my door shut. Not me, my parents. They told me a story a while back about the time they stayed at a hotel in England for their friend's wedding in the mid-1990s. They stayed in room 1012. They went to bed as normal and sank into their usual deep sleep state. Upon entering the all-you-can-eat buffet breakfast in the hotel at 8 a.m. the next morning, they were approached by a similar-aged couple who proceeded to ask, "Oh my gosh, what do you think of last night?" My parents naively replied to the couple by saying, "Oh yes, Julie and Paul's wedding. It was amazing." The couple exchanged confused glances. "No, not the wedding reception." My parents were obviously confused now. "All the commotion in room 1013. The room next door to you." The couple almost giggle as they expect this to prompt my parents. "What do you mean?" my dad asks as he naively continues to pile scrambled eggs onto his plate at the buffet. Turns out, there was a massive drug bust in the hotel room next door to my parents. Armed police smashed in the door screaming, "Armed police, nobody move," as like 10 police officers stormed the room. Multiple people arrested, one man tasered outside my parents' door, and a man screaming bloody murder as he was being cuffed. My parents didn't hear a thing. LMAO. I once slept through a tornado that happened about a mile from my hotel. My girlfriend woke me up at about 2 a.m. saying how scared she was of the storm and that the power went out, and she was worried. I told her while half awake to leave me alone, I'll deal with it in the morning, and that it's just thunder, I don't know why you are freaking out. She was fuming at me when I woke up the next morning and found out that a tornado destroyed a high school not too far away. Once a tornado formed on top of my house when I was younger. My mom screamed my name from downstairs several times, but it wasn't until my dad ran up and literally grabbed me out of bed that I woke up. I was so pissed at all of them. Thankful looking back on it though. I once fell asleep at a Metallica concert in the middle of the show. Not a heavy sleeper, just exhausted. Now I wake up if the stars twinkle too loud. Not me, but a friend. He took a nap in his seat at a rock concert. He first dozed off while him was playing and slept all the way through Taking Back Sunday. He was stone cold sober, just tired apparently. I'd probably sleep through him too. Not because they're bad, but I find most of their songs soothing. I fell asleep in my dorm room while in college. I lived alone. They had a fire drill at like 3 a.m. The firefighters came, opened each room, and checked on us. The fire alarm did not wake me up. They tried to shake me awake. Nothing. So they called an ambulance. Those guys got a stretcher, loaded me up onto it, and started taking me down 3 flights of stairs. Once we were on the 4th flight of steps, I woke up and tried to jump off the stretcher. Because, well, I thought I was being kidnapped. The ambulance guys still tried to get me to go to the hospital because they thought I was on drugs because I did not wake up. The truth of the matter is, that is just the way I sleep. I have 5 different alarm clocks set to wake me up, but sometimes I still do not hear them while asleep. None of my doctors know what to do about it other than tell me to buy more alarm clocks. This affects my jobs badly. I hate it. I had to get one of those alarm clocks for deaf people. The one I bought is a sonic boom. It has one of those super shaker bed vibrating units that you can put under your pillow that vibrates. It also has a plug for a lamp, so when the alarm goes off, the lamp light flashes on and off. It helped a lot the first years, but now I've gotten used to it, so I need to change it up. Boyfriend slept through thunder so loud it set off several car alarms in the parking garage right outside the window. Someone opening my front door, walking in, taking all my shit and leaving without a hitch. It really sucked, but at least he took my school bag as well, so I had a great excuse to not have my homework done the next day. I slapped my girlfriend in my sleep. She responded with a massive slap without even thinking, cause she doesn't take no shit. I didn't wake up. She also apologized after. LOL man, my brother used to kick real bad in his sleep, and when we were kids we had to share beds for a while, being dirt poor and just having a caravan to sleep in. Well, he kicked obviously. And we would kick him so hard back, but he wouldn't even stir. Just really heavy sleeper. I feel terrible for how hard I kicked him, not like he knew what he was doing. I once slept through the process of my grandmother calling 911 for my grandfather, the ambulance coming to our house with sirens blaring, the process of getting him loaded into the ambulance and leaving. I woke up the next morning like, where did Gramps go? I didn't even know why he had to be taken to the hospital. I think it was a broken hip. This reminds me of the time I slept through a seizure and woke up in the ambulance. I missed a whole ass Saturday once in high school. I just got back from a band field trip where I didn't sleep much for 4 or 5 days, and I got home from the airport at about 3 a.m. on Friday and I passed out. I woke up and saw my clock said 6. I looked out the window and I thought that the sun was coming up, so I went back to sleep. I woke up a few hours later at 8, and it was dark outside. I was confused cause it should be bright at 8 a.m. I came out and my mom was making breakfast for dinner, which also confused me, and she asked if I was ready for school tomorrow. I was like, no, it's Sunday tomorrow. As it turns out, I slept 36 hours straight through Saturday, and woke up Sunday night thinking it was Saturday morning. It is still my record for most hours slept. I slept around 30 hours too once. It was on a Thursday, and I woke up at around 12 and was freaking out. Came into the kitchen and started packing my school bag, and my parents were like, "What are you doing?" "Packing my school bag so I can make it for the last lessons at least." And they are say, "But it's Saturday." Slept through my neighbor shooting her boyfriend. Slept through the police and ambulance sirens. Slept through the cops knocking on the door asking if we heard anything. This was in Kemmerer, Wyoming in the early 80s. My kids barfing in the middle of the night, instant response. I was about 12 at the time, camping with the family, and I woke up one morning with this large painful swelling bump that was obviously some kind of insect bite, but very obviously not a mosquito bite. I had plenty of those already at that point in the trip. My parents checked my tent and found a tarantula with dozens of little babies on it. Well, I'm probably too late for anyone to see this comment, but here's my story anyway. Was on a safari camping trip in Namibia with my dad and his wife. I'm actually not usually a heavy sleeper, but we were at a campsite that had a bar, hell yes, and I'd had a bit to drink. It was a long day and I was tired and a little drunk, so I went back to my tent early. When I woke up the next morning, both my dad and our guide started asking me if I was okay and telling me how brave I was. I'm sitting there thinking, of course I'm okay? I mean, it was too hot for my liking, but it was just as hot for everyone else, so I can hardly see what about that makes me brave. They explained to me that an elephant came into our campsite during the night and began to use my tent as a scratching post. I was a wrong step or two away from being crushed to death and had absolutely no idea. They assumed I was still awake, but I slept through the entire ordeal. My dad was losing his mind trying to do something, and our guide and the person who ran the campsite spent an hour or so trying to lure this elephant away from my tent. I guess eventually it just got bored and walked away. I'd actually thought they were just pranking me or something, but we were staying there a couple nights, and that next night, an elephant, maybe the same one, I dunno, came in and was walking around the campsites again. Honestly glad I slept through it because I would have been shitting myself. Do you have a similar story? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.